Welcome to Blue Sunday. I'm filling in for Joe Lutzer and Big Vince. How are you, mate?
G'day, Rash. It's great to have you here joining us and rescuing us tonight. Of course, everyone will know the great Richard Rash Hussain, host of The Change Room here on the Jumper Punch channel every Thursday night with his good friend Sam. And we'll have a little bit of a chat about that later on in the show. But Rash, you've come to our rescue, mate. Unfortunately, Joe, our regular host, is out doing another tour of Thailand with another big group, so he was unavailable again tonight. But he assures me that next week he will be available because it'll be on a Monday night. We play West Coast next Sunday night, so we'll actually be doing the show on Monday, the 19th of August. So, mate, good of you to come on, and looking forward to a chat tonight with you after a very, very disappointing game today by Carlton. Well, I've only got one word for that: embarrassing. And to have all of those great players of the past come to the game today and celebrating the club's 160th anniversary, and to see them there on the boundary line around the MCG today, which was basked in beautiful sunshine. It was a great day for football, great day to watch football.
Yeah.
That was just a deplorable performance. I can't remember a worse performance under Michael Voss in the last 3 years. If there was one, more than happy for any of our viewers to remind me. But, of course, this is a Facebook and YouTube show, and so we encourage all of our viewers out there to take part by sending in their comments. And I'm sure, Rash, as you view those comments, you'll put up some of them on the screen for everyone to have a look at.
I'm really looking forward to hearing what the hyphen David Rhys-Jones talks about today. Really getting in. He would have been there today. And
guess what? We also have another person joining us here as a special treat tonight.
Well, let's make it a bit of a surprise. Let's not just, we'll add him shortly, but we've got a very, surprise. But can I go through some of the formalities first, if I may?
Yes, of course you can, mate. Yep.
First formality here, if I must say, I'm just going to put it on the screen here. The Jumper Punch live show.
Yes.
It's on the 31st of August, 2024, sponsored by Blue Crypto, that does a great job there. Those that haven't been to the first show, I went there. It was absolutely amazing. They had some past players. I had Peter McConville there. I think
Vinny Catoggio.
There was a few past players. Rocco did his stand-up. He was amazing. Definitely something to go check out. Tickets are available. And
yes, they are on trybooking.com. And you're going to have a plethora of finger food served throughout the night. Beautiful Italian food served up by the lovely people from the Furlan Club, even though it's being held at the Lazio Marche Club, which is another region of Italy, another two regions of Italy, combining to have their own venue on Broadway in Reservoir. That's Broadway in Reservoir, Rash, not Broadway in New York, okay?
Yeah, I'm aware of that. Another one, if I may, just to put my book up, if you don't mind, just a quick plug for me. So this is my book that I
was going to make the introduction for you, mate.
All right, we'll go give it the introduction and then I'll throw it up.
Yes, put up the thing on screen there. For the Record and Off the Record by the one and only Richard Rashid Hussain. And how much is that book? Where can you get it from? And how much is it, Rash?
I'll put the this is the link for it. So this is a pre-order. It's on Amazon. Okay. The Kindle version is like $3, and the book, the physical copy, the
hard copy.
Yeah, this one.
For those old-fashioned people like me that like to read an actual book,
is $15, and it's dedicated to my daughter. So I've done something for her, and it comes out on her birthday. She helped me design the book cover.
Can you tell us roughly what it's all about? It's an interesting title you've given it. So what's behind all that?
Well, it's just my experiences in the entertainment business and working with big stars and stuff, and some of the experiences and crazy stories that I've. I don't go too crazy. There's stuff that's off the record that I haven't put on there. That's for the next book, which will be off the record and for the record. So, but and I've designed it like a music playlist. So there's a chapter, Ice Baby, that I think that's chapter 2, and it talks about being cool under pressure and stuff like that. So a lot to do with the mental fitness stuff that I do, and just sort of like a guideline into the music industry and how that all sort of like works, and hopefully it's there to inspire people. So that's pretty much it. Enough about me.
Fantastic.
So
all the best for that.
Thank you very much. There's so many comments. There's many people on. So I'll be going through the comments shortly.
Yes.
Who should we introduce in first, or is it too
I think
early?
we get the. I think we get the special guest presenter along with us this week, who, of course, is the inspiration behind the Jumper Punch channel. Let's bring him on because I think he needs a bit of therapy tonight.
There he is.
There he is, the great Rocco Stanitti.
Let's everyone, there's going to be a therapy session, so we thought we'll all come on and have a bit of a chat about the game. We won't keep Reese on. I reckon we get him on pretty quick, but
we will.
But just quickly before you do, just the links to your book, Rash, and to the show are below in the description. So if they click on the link which is below, they'll be able to get the book. And another thing, you're going to be selling some of the books at the live show. There's going to have some books there, so you can buy a hard copy there. So
I like Jimmy R's comment there. Next live show is going to be a group therapy session, Rocco. The way things are going, we'll all be holding hands, singing Kumbaya around the campfire.
That's my unofficial book launch at the Jumper Punch event. So
right. Yeah. So you'll be there to sign books for everyone who wants your autograph.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Okay.
All right, let's get the great man on, shall we?
Let's do that.
Oh, geez. Here we go. We've got the heavyweights in tonight, hey?
Hey, this is like...
What's happening, mate?
It's a crisis
what have you been doing? Joe's gone. I reckon Joe's just give up, has he? He's just he's flown the coop. He's had enough. He doesn't want to put up this crap anymore. And
he's on a beautiful beach somewhere. He's on a beautiful beach somewhere. He doesn't need this shit.
Yeah. Well, it was a beautiful day today. What a fantastic day. Why don't we talk about the good things about today? The sun was out. Sun was shining. It was fantastic. What a day for...
You know what I said to my son, because he's never really seen any sort of success. So we're sitting there in the sun. I got burnt. We're sitting there. It was hot. It just felt good. And I said, Dylan, this is how it feels like on grand final day, mate. It's like it just feels like the day just felt so good. Like it just felt right. You know,
it almost gave me memories of the 1987 grand final between Carlton and Hawthorn, where Reese won the Norm Smith medal only 37 years ago.
It wasn't.
A bit warmer that day. About 34 that day. So
yeah, I know, but it was just a beautiful day for footy, wasn't it? And to watch the footy.
Was perfect. You know, that was a great day for footy today, except for
what happened.
The blokes who pulled the Carlton Guernsey on just either weren't up to it or I mean, you can use the injuries as an excuse, and I suppose that that did hurt us, but just the whole. I just think from that first bounce, I wanted to see a Carlton team who were fair dinkum, and we didn't get it.
No,
it was absolutely. Can I say something, Reese? I'm going to be, because maybe you can't be as hard. It was an absolute disgrace. The effort that was put in today.
I can be as hard as anyone.
Well, that was
I'm not going to hold back.
That's not Carlton. That's no football team. No football team should play like that. We got embarrassed today. They ran like rings around us. Yeah. It was just absolutely it was pretty much the AFL side playing the AFLW, and that's not being disrespectful to the girls. But I'm telling you, it looked that bad.
It looked like they were running training drills around us. Yep. Basically, that was what they were doing. I mean, they were just linking up and running. I'd like to know the tackling coaches down there, because we just don't put tackles on. They were fantastic. I'm going to give a lot of credit to Hawthorn, though. Yeah. From where they were from 0-5 to come back to where they are right now, they're playing good footy, and and we knew that coming in, and our blokes, I don't know whether they weren't ready for it or just mentally aren't strong enough. But when your season's on the line, you got to show a bit of grit and a bit of fight. And we have very little of it in. A lot of our blokes they throw the towel in pretty quick. And
why is that, Reece? Like, seriously, like you said,
it's mental. It's mental. You tackling. You some of the best tacklers of all time. I mean, the smallest blokes. That's all mental. It's up top. It's got nothing to do with your size or whatever. Tony Liberatore is probably one of the best tacklers of all time, and one of the smallest players to play. So it's mental. If you want to tackle, if you want to do the hard things and the chasing and the tackling and the smothers and everything that Hawthorn did to us, then that's above the shoulders. It's definitely not below the shoulders.
So tell me something, Reece. So it's above the shoulders. All right. So it's mental. Okay, we get it. Why? Whose fault is that? Like, why aren't we like this? This isn't just this. It's all come down to this week, but you could see it happening in the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So whose fault's that? Why aren't we up for the fight? Why?
I look at some of it's got to go back on the playing group. Some of it's got to go on the coaching group. Some of it's got to go on the fitness people. It's right across the board. I mean, Carlton, we have a list that's we think is going to have that premiership window. I mean, I think I said last week the window's not open, the door's shutting, and the door's shut now. The door's shut on a premiership this year anyway. So we're right back to the drawing board. We need to, but we still have got that talent there. I don't think we've got the belief. The players haven't got the belief. I think a lot of our real problem stems in how we execute inside 50. Every time, and you look at what Hawthorn did to us today, their execution inside, they were hitting targets. They had space. They had play. How do they get space? How do they find all those targets inside? And we can't. And we're bombing the ball in consistently. We're a very predictable football team. We're easy to play against. Teams have worked us out, so therefore they can just play their game.
I was talking to Ramo, which is I'm going to put a comment there from him today, and we had a little debrief, and he was telling me today. He says, "How does Hawthorn do a rebuild in a year and a half or 2 years, and it's taken us how many years? I've listened to all of you guys, and I think it's a multitude of things. It's the fitness, it's the coaching, it's the players, it's the mental, it's a whole multitude of things, and I don't think they've owned up for it." That's my concern. I don't think they've really owned up for it. They're giving us the same jargon. That's why I put Ramo's comment there. They're just going to give us the same jargon all the time and say, all right, we're going to get better. We're going to get consistent. No, they need to.
Well, they trotted out some puff pieces during the week after that terrible loss last week as well, didn't they?
They did.
Yep.
I mean, it's always the same smoke and mirrors. The Carlton PR machine goes into overdrive, and it's all about, putting out positive news articles or interviews or, something to distract the members from the terrible performance on the weekend. So Ramo's probably right. What video are they going to trot out this week?
I don't think like they deliberately say, we'll bring out this video to distract everyone. I think it's all.
Do you want to make a bet? Do you want to make a bet?
No. I reckon they knew that they were going to bring out the legends. It's 160. They knew exactly what they were going to do.
I know. I'm not talking about that. Yeah. I'm talking about all the other stuff as well. And to me, it's just all distraction, mate. Smoke and mirrors. It's been this way for years, Rocco.
Yeah, I think they knew that it was going to all come out. This has got nothing to do with the player group, right? But I think them bringing out this stuff distracts the whole playing group, like the bobbleheads. I don't want to be. I love Ange, but enough with the bobbleheads, And then the legends, like the new jumper. I don't care. No one cares about the jumper. It was more about the jumper, the legends, and all that. Like, mate, there needs to be someone who comes out and says, you know what, this is just not good enough. We don't need these distractions, We're not that good that we should have these distractions. Sorry, we're not that good. And you were saying about the list, David. I'm going to get you. I'm going to like. Sorry, I'm talking a lot, but you were saying about the list, and we've got 5 or 6 or 7 great players that any team would take. Any team, right?
Yep.
But I don't think the rest are good enough. Let's be honest with it.
No,
they're just not good enough.
No, they're either. I'll tell you, and they're either not good enough, and there's quite a few of them playing at the moment who are not quite good enough, or they're continually injured and in and out of the team, and that's just
unreliable.
Not good enough. It is just not acceptable for a football club to keep going down this same road and persist with blokes just, I mean, we have 5 injuries today. I think Boyd, to his credit, Boyd went back on the ground and played. I mean,
soldiered on.
Charlie went straight down the rooms and didn't see him again. So, I'll give credit to Boyd for at least bloody playing injured. And we all played injured back in, you just do what you do for the jumpy. I mean, anyway, and we've got players playing injured. I've got no doubt Walshy's, and I've heard today he's got a bit of a hip sort of problem that it's not his back, which is one good thing anyway, but he's got a bit of a hip issue that's really just restricting him from being able to burst and that real power that he has got. So, which is a shame, but that's part and parcel of footy, and you just got to get through those sort of things and work ways around it.
So has it exposed our list for a genuine depth? Like you talk about having depth on your list. Have we been exposed for a lack of depth now because of these injuries, that every time we seem to get a handful of them, we just can't cover them, and we just seem to, go too thin down our list?
We've spoken about selection integrity here quite a number of times, and the same players coming back in, and Jackson Binns not getting a game at all. Now, he goes and picks up the ball 47 times a few weeks ago and can't get a game because his disposal is poor. And did you see some of that disposal today? I mean, if disposal is poor, if you can't get a game for having poor disposal, half of those blokes today should not play next week. And and that's what's happened with Jackson Binns. So these are the problems, and that's selection integrity. I really, I didn't want to harp on it earlier in the season, but I think that is important too. That's important in a club way. That people know. If you perform down below and we're not performing up top, you're going to get a game. You are going to get a game, and we're going to play you, and you deserve to be in there. And that's where you get your depth from. You don't get it. I mean, when good players are playing well week in, week out in your reserves team, and the senior team's going pretty ordinary and they can't get a game, well, that just says something to everyone that, certain players are going to get a game regardless,
What does it say about the standards? I mean,
you're not.
You're making a good point there. It's not just that Jackson Binns, the poor guy, is busting his backside to get an opportunity and he just won't get one. Doesn't matter even if he gets nearly 50 touches. But it's also saying to the other players that are not performing, that's okay. You'll get another game next week. We're not going to drop you.
We're going to play you and put our faith in you, even though you're going bloody terribly. It's not good enough. And that really, I reckon that should have been addressed and questioned probably earlier on the season when people were saying about Binns every week sort of thing, and he just couldn't get in there, and that should have been addressed, because I think you either got to, you got to put the pressure on the people who are making these decisions and selecting the team that's running out there. I couldn't care if Jackson Binns kicking is not the greatest. If he can get it, 40 odd times, 30 times, or 20 odd consistently,
and
he's
kicked
doing
3
a lot
goals.
better than half of those blokes in there. He's doing a lot better than all the blokes, most of those blokes in there. So
he also kicked 3 goals in that VFL game too.
Yeah.
So I mean, what more does the poor guy have to do? You actually wouldn't blame him for saying, you know what, I give up. I don't know what more I can do to get an opportunity. If I was his manager, I'd be saying, you know what, mate, I think it's time to start looking for a greener pasture.
He'd be shopping him around. And I think that's one of the problems with a person like Binns, and they're trying to hide that. They've got a perception that he can't play well enough at that level. and then hoping that someone else is going to want him, and then they can trade him off or whatever and get something for him. But and not expose.
Well, the other one too, by the way, who's been drafted in the mid-season draft was Cooper Lord, who's really performed very well in the VFL, and he hasn't even been named, I think, as an emergency yet. So,
both of those should be playing next week.
Yeah.
Over in Perth.
But you know what? Now that you've got all these injuries, they probably will play them, when it's all too late.
You got it. You can't rotate those other blokes through again. The same old bloody heads who are coming through who are just not quite up to it. But and the silly thing is we can still play finals. We can still play finals. I mean, we've
had a few results go our way.
We have a good win against West Coast this week. And get a bit of percentage. We're on top of Hawthorn again, and we're in.
And the doggies lost today. Yeah, they got thumped today. So in actual fact, there might be Hawthorn and Carlton could both make the finals, because there's no guarantee the doggies will make it even now. So we've got to check. But that's not the point, we got
to win games of footy. We're going to win games of footy, and we're going to turn it around in a short space of time.
We've got to get back some form.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get first to the ball. We're a slow team too. We're a slow team. We need to put some pace in there somewhere, and even just trying to inject some pace into the midfield. Put Chincotta in there. He can run. He can run. He's got pace. Put him into the midfield.
I even heard he copped a bit of an injury today too.
He did.
Oh.
The thing is, Reece, you mentioned. Hang on, Rock. You mentioned the other results and teams on the ladder that have lost. It's amazing, when you look at the ladder now, which I don't think we've got the visual tonight, but as it stands at the moment, the teams that are 5th, 6th, 7th, as in Brisbane, Fremantle and Western Bulldogs, all lost this week. And as well as that, Essendon and Collingwood below us, they also lost. So they've kept us in the picture. I mean, if half of those had won, we'd be almost out with hardly any chance to make it. But now we are actually a chance to make it with games against West Coast and St Kilda coming up. So we've got to improve and improve quick, don't we?
Well, the only thing that's kept us in it has been the other results. We haven't controlled our own destiny. We have not controlled that at all. We've relied on other teams being beaten to be close to being in there. Otherwise, we the way we're playing, we don't deserve to be in there anyway. I mean, it'd be embarrassing to be in there.
Well, one of the questions that's going to come up in everyone's mind, and I reckon people would have been asking themselves this immediately after the game today. We've actually slipped out of the 8 on percentage to Hawthorn now.
Yep.
Do you actually prefer to make it in the shape that we're in with all the injuries we've got and no form and, looking for all money like we're shot? Would you prefer to still make the 8 and have a chance of progressing through the finals with the risk, of course, of getting absolutely belted in week 1 if you're not producing a fit side on the ground? Or would you rather say, no, you know what? Better off to actually not make it and reset for a brand new season.
No, you don't go out not to win.
I agree.
Of course, you've got to go. You've got to go in there, man. Look at GWS. They turned it around in 1 quarter.
Yeah.
They were getting smashed 6 weeks ago or whatever, a few weeks ago against us. And now all of a sudden they're world beaters. I mean, it can turn around. Of course you want that chance.
But I heard people today, Rocco, around me saying, I'd rather not make the finals. This is rubbish.
I think I think a lot of people were upset today. So a lot of things were coming out that you really didn't mean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was just like we were sitting there like, I was just astonished, and I probably said a few things that I didn't really mean, just throw away the whole, blow up we just need to restart it.
Nuke the joint.
We all said that, but in reality, I mean, at the end of the day, we've got to start like tomorrow in the first training session or recovery, man, and there's got to be, that mindset has to change because that was not good today. That was poor as I've seen since maybe when we when Port Adelaide kicks like 19 goals in a row against us. I haven't seen a poor performance like that for like 3 years, I reckon.
And look, there's ways of getting beaten, and giving up's not one of them. You know, and they gave up today. They realised they didn't have their rotations, so they couldn't get off the ground. They run harder off the ground than they do while they're on it, getting off to bloody have a rest. And they do. They run quicker running off the ground than I see them when they So don't tell me about the bloody rest and all this sort of stuff. And you're professional footballers. I mean, we used to run 100 minutes out. I mean, of course we got tired at the end, and we weren't professional athletes or anything like they are now. But they should be able to run 100 minutes a lot easier than we ever could. So they're professionals. I mean, they should be able to do it.
I have a question for Reece. It'll be interesting because I'm sure that there'll be people that are watching would be interested to know. I mean, today was the 160 years celebration, and correct me if I'm wrong, there would have been a lot of your old teammates would have been there and past players and celebrating 160 years of this fine club. What was it like just from your perspective? Did you go into the rooms prior, or just give us a bit of background if you can on that?
No, we were all in the Miller room up on the second floor there of the MCG, and it was as flat as you could be. It was disbelief and embarrassing. It was terrible. It was just.
What about before the game? What about before the game, Reece? What was the anticipation and the build-up like? Was there a belief that we were going to really perform today, or was there a bit of concern about how we were going into this game with having lost our previous 4 out of the previous 5 games?
I think everyone went in there with a lot of hope because you're coming into a must-win game. I mean, it's a must-win game for Hawthorn too. So you've got two teams coming out there, must win. One has a real crack and wins it, and the other gives up. And then, look, we did get all those injuries. We can make as many excuses, but I just felt like the real grit and determination of a team that should have had a harder edge in it. Hawthorn were just outnumbering us at the ball. They out-tackled us. They outrun us. They were quicker. They were faster. They were stronger. They did everything. They did everything, and that just it's as if we accepted that and gave up towards the end of the game and allowed them to just probably the only saving grace was I was looking at my live ladder and I'm thinking, geez, we'll get beat today, but we'll still be in 8th spot, which is ridiculous. But and then they just kept piling goals on it, and I'm watching the percentage because as their percentage is going up, ours is coming down. So every goal that's being kicked,
they actually scored a goal in the last quarter that got them 67 points up, and that meant that the live ladder put them on ahead of us on percentage. And all around me, I heard this massive amount of cheering going on. I was like, what the hell's going on? And people were telling me around the place, we've just overtaken you on the live ladder. And I thought, gee whiz, people are really conscious of it, aren't they?
Yeah, well, it was just to start the game, though. I mean, we were well ahead of it. That was never ever. I actually said to a few.
It was 112. Our percentage was 112, and theirs was 104 before the start. And then
before the game, I actually said to a few people, I said they could beat us today, and we can still remain in 8th spot on percentage because I didn't think we were going to get flogged badly.
I think this is we're worried about percentage, we're worried about all that. I think the club too, at the end of the day, there's some fundamentals that we just, I don't know, man. We didn't get right today. We haven't been right for weeks now. We're going to fix some stuff up there. I don't know if it's the coaching. I don't know if we've been found out. Seriously, you could talk about the tackling and the running. All right, that's fair enough. But we were beaten in actual tactical around the ground. The way they spread is amazing. And we can't spread like that. When we spread, it's almost kick, wait, Hawthorn Hawthorn was running to where we were spreading before we were spreading. And then when they spread, soon as they got the ball over, you'd see 4 or 5 Hawthorn players on the wing waiting for the ball. Like they knew. And that's got to be tactical. That's got to be coaching. You know what I mean? And like you're saying before, the entrance into the 50, that's coaching, mate. That's coaching.
And early on, in the game, and all I wanted to do was see us. I wanted to see a hard edge, but I also wanted to see risk taking. And the funny thing is, early in the game, we took some risks, and then we got cut off. There were a couple of times where the turnovers happened, and so we stopped. It was execution.
The idea was right, but the execution was poor.
Well, the execution, but keep going. I mean, you risk. It's risk and reward. It's you're not going to get rewarded if you don't take those risks. So, but what happened was we had a couple of turnovers, and then the blokes just went and played safe footy again. The chip kicking back, and every time we go into the forward line, we think we've just got to lob it on top of Harry Mackay's head, right on top. They kick it right to him. He's standing there and put the ball up and out in space and make him run to it. You know what I mean? There's ways you can do that. And we play a lot of dumb football. And that's got to, put it this way. It has to be in the coaching to a certain extent because you just we're the worst team at coming inside 50, at connecting inside 50. And everyone talks about our forward line as being our what we kicked. How many goals we kicked today?
5 goals, 8.
5 goals.
If you've been in another planet sometime today, anyone who's watching, the final scores were Hawthorn 16-16, 112 to Carlton 5-8, 38, and 3 of those 5 goals were kicked in the first quarter. So yet again, we've had another match where we've only kicked 2 goals in 3 quarters.
Yeah. And we're going to this great forward line that everyone's worried about, is going to take us to the Holy Land or whatever.
You can have a great forward line, but if you don't know how to use it, like it looks like we don't know how to use our forwards. Like we've got 2 of the great forwards potentially, right? And then I think Charlie, I love Charlie, right? I love my players. I love Charlie. But in that second quarter, when he had Williams in the bloody square on his own. Yeah. Like, what are you doing, mate? Like, get the ball over to him. He tried to do this fancy stuff, Like, what are you, like, seriously? Like, that was just showed the whole day was in that one passage of play. Like, move the ball through the set. Another thing, Reece, I want to ask you, right? So you say, like, we play some dumb football. And in the first quarter, just like last week, in the first quarter, we're taking those chances. And we're hitting some of those targets. And then all of a sudden, they either work us out. We don't stop. Do we start playing for ourselves then instead of a team? Because it seems then the players are scared to make a mistake. Yeah. So then all of a sudden you're playing for your own spot. And if you're starting to do that, and I even think that the coaching all of a sudden starts to coach for itself, because really is Charlie right to come in today? Are we scared not to play him? Like, because he got injured, right?
He didn't. Put it this way: that one with Williams in the square. I mean, it was typical of Charlie. I don't even know if he wanted to be out there today. He obviously had a bit of an injury. Whether he wanted to be there or not, but he was not right in the head by a long stretch, and was better off not playing. Would have been better off not. Putting someone else down there as a target, whether it be Kennedy or throw Kemp back there, or put him down the full line. So try something different. And that's another thing. What are we scared of? Bloody,
scared of making moves.
Not making moves.
Was shot to pieces.
Once again, it's at our selection again. You're playing blokes who are not right, and. We played injured back in our day because that, but they don't do that now. They don't do that. No. They don't play injured anymore because
you get found out a bit too much.
There's a lot of medical, ramifications, I suppose, if something bad does happen. So, don't play him. Don't play him. You know,
Can I ask?
So
Go
a
ahead.
lot of those injuries today, there was 5 injuries today. A lot of those injuries today is because we played shithouse. I don't care what anyone says. And what happens is if you start playing shithouse, you start putting like Saad probably has to run a bit harder than he would normally because he's trying to get to a ball that wasn't kicked to him. You know, who was it that when Martin got injured, right?
Well,
he hurt one of our players as he got injured.
Yeah. They both collided and both that's happened at the same time.
So my question is, I got a question. My question is that we're talking about this, but who we got to fill in? This is the point. So like, are we overrating our team as a list? Because obviously we need pace. And the question is, who is out there in the reserves or whatever to give us the pace? I don't see it. So, I mean, you know,
Jackson Binns is one we've spoken about. I'm not too sure about the young bloke Cooper who
is he fast?
I don't know much about him, to be honest. So very little. But you don't know much about him if you don't see him. So, you know.
I don't know much. I don't know how fast he is, but I know he's been getting a lot of the ball. He's been getting a lot of the ball.
I'm telling you now, Binns and Cooper Lord deserve an opportunity. And if they don't get one, I don't think we're doing the right thing at all. In fact, I don't even think we've played one player that we recruited to the club last year. We have not given one of those players a game this year. Not Ashton Moyer, Jackson Binns. I think Jackson Binns got a quarter as a sub. And yet again, the club did the disgraceful thing, in my view, in giving a debutant their first game and having to spend 3.5 quarters on the freaking bench.
Got one disposal, I think.
That should be banned, that practice. But anyway, that's not an opportunity. That's barely giving the guy a chance to get warm. And none of the other players that we recruited have had a game. Not one.
Can I ask Rash a question? I'm going to ask Rash a question. You're the mind person here, man. We do the change room every Thursday, right? Comes on, you and Sam, and usually your theme revolves around what Carlton need to do or what they've done, right?
Sure.
Mate, what is going on? Like we're saying it's a mind. Why aren't we all like on the same page, Rash? Like, why? What's going on? Why aren't we believing what we can do?
Without being privy to what's within the 4 walls, it's too hard to ascertain, to be honest. However,
on a general basis, in a
general thing, it's messaging, it's communication. There's a whole bunch of things between things that we don't know. It could be morale inside. There's a whole bunch of different things. However, if you're consistent with the belief system and you reinforce that, and they're trying to manufacture it at the moment. You could hear Cripps' today when he was talking that, you know, there's still a chapter to go and a whole bunch of different things. They're saying the right things. So it's like, think about this, like when your mindset is say, okay, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be a millionaire. And you're looking in the mirror and you say, I'm a millionaire. It's the same as what Cripps is saying. But if you don't really, really believe that, it's not going to happen. So it all comes down to belief and then training the mind. And I don't think they've got the right people inside, to be honest. I think there's a lot of things that they need to fix to go to the next level. You're not going to do it just based on 7 or 8 players. There's much more than that. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, what you're saying with the messaging is exactly what I come across this week anyway, when I was going on to AFL 360 with Weeders. And actually, I rang Shane. I said, so what's this all about? He said, I'll get the girl to ring you and find out. So anyway, she rang up and I said, so what's it about? What are we going on talking about? Oh, no, we're just talking about the season and this and that. And we just got to remain positive and say that, it's a tough season and that it's very close. And she started going on with these, I'm thinking, hey, do you know who you're talking to? I'm not going to parrot any of your bloody, the
propaganda.
I'll get out and say what I'll answer the questions as it said to me. So, but that's it. That's what they're sort of trying to get people out there to say what,
Keep pushing the positive.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Well,
it's called delusional.
And everyone,
you'll never fix a problem.
85,000.
That's like an alcoholic, mate. You'll never cure the problem unless you're prepared to admit that you got one in the first place. And
exactly.
the club's not prepared to do that. They just want to keep spewing out positive propaganda to all of the sheep out there that'll listen to it.
But the problem is
people aren't stupid though.
That's it. The supporters are actually not stupid. We'd rather the truth. And it just tells, like, in your days, and I know we can't keep going back to your days, but sometimes you have to look back and say, what worked, Yeah. And you had some great leaders, right? First of all, Sticks, and I think Cribbs is a great captain, but you had people like David Parkins, and then I keep saying it, like the president at the time, mate, I keep hearing he used to put fear into the players, like if you've lost the game, Does that make a difference, like getting someone up there to not accepting this kind of performance?
Oh, exactly. It's totally unacceptable, and how over the past month our season has just faded away. It's been terrible. I mean, they've given us all this hope and belief. And they've just stripped it straight away from us, and it's that's one of the hardest things when you really do have a bit of belief that, hang on a minute, this mob might be the real thing. They might be a genuine contender this year, and they gave us that belief, and we believed it, and we've been let down. So,
but there was evidence there, Reece. Like 6 or 7 weeks ago when we beat Geelong, right? There was evidence there that we were playing a good brand of football. We were tough at the ball. We were kicking a high score. The proof was there. The proof was there. It wasn't like we were just making it up. The proof was there. But ever since that, we lost to Richmond. And then ever since then,
GWS. No, but something's gone wrong there, for sure. That's the pivotal point.
Yeah, it has. The confidence in the group, it must be at an all-time low. I mean, it was almost like we were at the stage last year before we played, who was it, Gold Coast.
Yeah.
And, we were just woeful. That Essendon game, that's probably the one game that typifies what we saw there today, that Essendon game. It was absolutely woeful and embarrassing. And it was similar. I was actually in the President's lunch that time last year, and I reckon McClure, Johnson, and a couple of others all walked out at 3/4 time and went home. And there's a few blokes walked out today at 3/4 time and went home. As you would, because they build us up with hope and just tear it away from us. But actually, there's a good one there forward. But we got our backline coach is Aaron Hamill, isn't it? Which is I still can't.
I just and at one stage, to tell you the truth, the back six have done well, like the back six. But I don't know if that comes down to coaching or just comes down that we've got some good players back there. But
Jacob Wiedering helps.
We got Wiedering. He
Newman,
and he gets no help. I mean, it's funny because coming home tonight. With my next door neighbour who I had with me, and I was just talking about this is what we need. We need to go and get a tall backman. I mean, I know they're talking to who's the Haynes from GWS at the moment, who's 32, but I'll be checking his body can stay up. But I'll tell you what, if there's a bloke in the Mitch McGovern's brother, if he could stand up for the next 2 years, you'd say, look, you could be part of a premiership team. We need a cracking small forward who's quick. I mean, we got slow blokes down there. Always Motlop.
They were woeful today. All of them.
They're slow. They are slow. They are. They don't get enough of the ball. They just. I don't know. I don't know why they just keep getting a game week in, week out, and whether it's Durden or Owies or Motlop. I mean, they're all the same. They're all the same. They don't offer anything different. They offer the same thing, and it's not very much.
And is that the same for the midfield? We can say that too. Like a lot of it's the same. You know what I mean? Like we haven't got that pace.
No, there's no one with genuine pace in there. We don't put anyone with genuine pace in there. It's
I wonder why they don't get a guy like Alex Marcoux or Vinny Catoggio down there to show them how to actually hit the pack at pace and rove off the pack and kick goals that way, because I never see them do it.
Adrian Gleeson was one of the best I saw. He used
there's no one.
He was unbelievable at it. Just hit it and one grab through and go on. But you know, I mean, how would Eddie Betts be loving it down there at the moment? He'd be having an absolute ball with those big blokes down there and just feeding off them. And it's why, because he's a smart footballer. And it's why Williams looks so dangerous down there, because he's a smart footballer. The other blokes aren't very smart. Right? No. They're just, you know, they're I don't know, they're loiterers. They just hang around the forward line. They don't do much.
Said, the way they enter that forward line, seriously, it's been a problem for a while, man. Like it just doesn't function properly, man.
But our connection out's not there. I mean, the opposition like Sicily was continually on his own, running across half back. And just intercepting and causing a problem back there. We don't have anyone doing that, you know, because Weeders can do that, but we need him playing playing directly on someone, or we're going to get carved up, because we haven't got that second tall. Kemp is not up to it. He's not up to playing on a tall. He gets beaten week in, week out when he plays on taller opponents who are too strong. So, you know, when I can't criticise our backline too much, because they're under a lot of pressure and they have a real crack. But
the midfield obviously isn't doing enough defensive work to stop the ball coming down, is it? Because it was just getting pumped down there that many times. They were getting around us like witches' hats today.
But they were killing us.
It was embarrassing.
I don't know what was you got the stats there, Vince? What were the clearances? And
well, I actually think we did all right in the clearances, but I don't know how.
No, I'll tell you what the official stats were. Okay, they had that much more of the ball. It's not funny. 435 disposals to 358. That's 77 more possessions. All right, that's about 20% more. 20% more possessions than us.
What about clearances?
Three or four good players.
I'll get to that quickly. Their disposal efficiency was 79% to our 75, according to the official. Website I've got here. So more kicks, more handballs. The free kicks were very similar, 19 to Hawthorn, 17 to Carlton. Contested possessions, 120 to Hawthorn, 112 to Carlton. Uncontested, 309 versus 238. And that just goes to show you how much they were running around us, and they had the ball, had the game on their terms, didn't they? It was all outside ball, and they were just too quick for us, right? Marks 141 to 111. Contested was 10 to 9, but uncontested 131 to 102. Marks inside 50, Reece. They had 20 to 6.
Yeah.
Hit outs.
And we got this great forward line with Harry and Charlie down there. That's is so, you know.
I've got another stat inside 50 that'll interest you in a minute. You asked about clearances. They were very similar, Rocco. They were 33 to 31, and even the centre clearances were exactly the same.
I told you. I saw the stats. I couldn't believe it. But in the as far as the eye test, when I saw it, we got smashed. I can't believe
it was how we cleared the ball. It was how we cleared the ball too. It wasn't.
I think that was what happened when they cleared the ball. They just about scored from it.
They pinpointed passes.
Yeah,
this is the stat I'm going to get to in a second, right?
Yep.
So we actually had 63 clangers to 53. So we did butcher the ball a fair bit more than them. Tackles inside 50. Now for a side that had the ball most of the day, 20% more than we did. They had 51 tackles to 47, and 13 of those inside 50. Guess how many we had?
1.
2. 2 tackles inside 50. I mean, what are those small forwards doing?
Well, that just shows Fogarty wasn't down there. He's the only one who does tackle down there.
Charlie scoring shots.
Charlie wasn't chasing. He wasn't chasing. He was. He didn't want to be there today.
No.
That didn't help us. That didn't help us. And
I saw once when coming out of our forward line, Owies gave up. He stopped. He practically stopped and jogged, and the Hawthorn player I don't know who they were, just ran away with it. Yeah. You know, one on either side, and he practically just stopped. And that's when I said to myself, you know what? I think we're done. We're not running anymore. You know,
no. Yeah. By the way, I'll just finish off on this, and then we can keep talking. Inside 50s, 64 to 43. Now, that's 50% more inside 50s to Hawthorn, even though we all had the same amount of clearances and all the rest of it. And, of course, scoring shots, they had 32 to only 13. And out of those 32 scoring shots, they went at 50%, 16 goals, 16. We went at 30%, 5 goals, 8. And actual accuracy, I beg your pardon, 50%, 50 inside 50s efficiency, I should say. That's 32 shots from 64 entries. And they also had a 50% shooting accuracy of 16-16. We only had 30% efficiency going inside 50. We only had 13 scoring shots from 43 entries. And when we did score, we only scored at 38%, 5 goals, 8. So, you know, it was an absolute belting. It was it was a systematic demolition, and you know, we just totally got demolished today. As far as
I wouldn't be critical if we had a red hot crack right to the end. Yeah. You know, I mean that's
we didn't.
If that had boosted by 5 or 6 goals because we, you know, of our injuries and everything else.
Yeah.
But when they were waltzing around us, when they were just, I know what the club's going to come out with. We couldn't get the players off to give them a rest, to give them this, to give them that. That's what they'll come out with because that's the way footy's played these days. But that makes no difference. It makes no difference if you're not, you know, if you're giving up because you can't get a rest on the bench, then. Shouldn't be out there in the first place.
Sorry,
Rocco. Did any of you guys see the Michael Voss press conference? I haven't seen it, but I got told by someone that he was chuckling at the start of it or something. He was.
I saw it. I wasn't
almost like he was. You know.
No. I don't think it was like that. I think he's got to put it across. You know, like I understand what he's got to do, but I thought he was better than last week. Mm-hmm. But he was still a little bit weak. To me, I wouldn't pick out individual players, but I'd be saying that was unacceptable. That's not what we stand for.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be saying those sort of things, and he didn't really say those things. So I think he's almost what you said before, Reese, like he's almost been told what to say so we don't.
This is what I wonder because apparently Patrick Cripps was also interviewed. And he was talking it all up, like, we're still going to make it, and all this. Now, is that just Patrick Cripps being told what to say to keep the natives happy?
I think so.
Why does Cripper not come out and say the way it really is? Come on, he's no deal.
This was last week, and me and Paul and they picked this up last week, and I wasn't happy when I heard Michael Voss say he was proud of the comeback. Now I can understand that, but that should never have been said. Because Mitchell said that in the same question said it's not a good time to ask me that, right? We lost, that's all that matters, right?
But,
and we said, we're proud of the comeback, you know, like, and I don't know.
You never would have heard Robert Walls or David Parkin saying that in your day, Reese, would you?
Well, that was the first thing he said. You know, in his press conference last week. I was proud of the way they come back.
Yeah. No.
John Longmire, on the other hand, give his. But as you say, and I actually said to Tommy Alvin and Paul Meldrum today, I said, "How would you be walking into Wolsey after a game like this?" I mean,
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean,
I can see the fear in your eyes now, Reese, after like 30 years, mate.
I had strips torn off me from time to time. I mean, but that's just part and parcel. You know, I mean, And to be perfectly honest, I didn't like Wolsey very much. You know, I don't think he liked me very much. But
you respected him.
He knew how to wind me up, and I wanted to shove it up him, and I wanted to show him, sort of thing. So it worked. You know, it worked the way, you know, the relationship handled itself. And put it this way, you know, when I started coaching, I think I rang Parko and Wolsey and apologised to them both and said, look, I'm very sorry, but, you know, now I'm having to deal with these bloody meatheads trying to get them into line.
I understand now.
You know, so I did.
It's like when you become a parent. It's like when you become a parent. And you go, now I understand what my dad was saying, you know.
Yeah, and it was, you know.
Sorry,
the old saying is the minute you realise what your father was telling you was right, you've got a son telling you that you're wrong. But anyway, yeah.
Can I just say,
I'd hasten. Yeah, go on.
I mean, it was a different era then, of course, and generations change. We all understand that. My only concern is what we call in mindset business, we call it toxic positivity. Okay, so you got to be careful of being too positive and not being real. Now, you've got to maintain some positivity. You have to, right? You say, okay, we're going to come back. We're going to get back to it next week. But he's got to stand up and he's got to say, that's unacceptable. We have too many players, too many messages, blah, blah, blah. And he's not doing that. And that's my concern, because then, unless he's doing it behind the curtain door, you know, behind the doors, something else. But I don't think he is, because otherwise he would have seen some change. There has not been enough significant change in the last 6 weeks, and he hasn't got down to the root cause. Yeah. So that's all I want to put my two bob worth. Let's move on to. Yeah, go ahead.
I agree, Rash. That's so true, because you can be too positive, right?
Toxic.
And then the players aren't being held accountable. You know what I mean? Because all right, that was a good effort. Yeah, and then you walk off going, oh yeah, all right, that was a good effort. You know, instead of saying, you know what,
wrong message.
That was not a good effort, mate. That was not a good effort, mate. You have to try harder, mate. You have to. I can't understand. Maybe we all come from a different era, but I look forward to like being challenged. I look forward to telling me I didn't do good enough, mate. We need more of you. Imagine, like when you were playing, imagine someone coming up to you, the coach coming and saying, Reece, we need more. I bet you he said that to you in the 87 grand final. Reece, we need you to do this job today, mate. We need you to do this job, you know, instead of saying, oh, yeah, see how you go against one of the great centre-half forwards of our century, you know?
Well, no, he sort of did do it that way, actually.
I did.
So, no, it was, you know, I think he threw the challenge out to me, you know. I mean, that was, you know, that was a challenge. I had to get out there and do a job. So, but, you know, put it this way, you know, back in our day, we walked off the ground after a game like that. It wouldn't matter if you had 20 injuries. You know,
get ready to bring your mouth guards to training.
Bring your mouth guard Monday. Don't worry about that. And you'd be doing the hard yards, and that in itself puts the fear of God into players. You know, because you just don't accept that type of mediocrity that, you know, we saw today.
Guys,
yes, well, you got to remember, blokes like Robert Walls. Sorry, I was just going to say, blokes like Robert Walls and Alex Jezelenko and guys like that. They were brought up under the Barassi era, and you know, if you lost, it was just considered to be unacceptable at Carlton. Losing, you know, what was that saying that they had there at the ground, Rocco, in the players' race? Coming second.
I can't remember. There was something about
second is not good enough.
Yes, because that's right. Yeah.
Or is unacceptable, or something like that. Yeah.
Boys, I'm just looking at the time and I'm wary of Reece's time with us. Firstly, there's a donation from Chris M, $12. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chris.
Chris, So just go ahead, Rock. Sorry.
I was just going to ask now, Reece. Now we've kind of tried to dissect today and everything, but what do we like? No use saying what the problems are. We need solutions now. And I know we're not gonna solve this on Blue Sunday, but what do they have to do? Where does it start, Reece? Like, where does it start? Does it start tomorrow? Like, where does it start that we go, you know, like, we've got to turn this around? Where does it start? You know, who's the person? I know you're going to say the coach and the
well, I mean, it's got to come from the players, but you know, and what players we take over to West Australia next week. I mean, that's really going to be the that's how it is. I mean, we might be taking a bunch of kids over there, having their, you know, first, second, whatever games. So it's going to be tough. But I tell you what, you just want to see a hard edge to us at some stage, because you you can't accept mediocrity. I mean, you know what? One thing, I played for South Melbourne, the Swans, before Carlton, and I hated it when we'd walk off the ground, we'd have a great performance against Essendon or Carlton or whoever, and lose by, you know, a kick or two, and you get clapped off the ground by your supporters. I mean, I hated that.
Great effort.
You come to Carlton, you're expected to win. You pulled that jumper on the monogram on the front, and didn't matter how many injuries, didn't matter during a game, during the week, whenever, you're expected to win. You were expected to win, and you went out there and put your body on the line for your mates, and more importantly for your club and the supporters, the people who are coming to watch you. And you know, because we fronted them in the social club afterwards. You know, there's a few of us who got down in the social club every time, win, lose or draw, and you fronted your spectators, and you know, it wasn't easy at times, but that's how we were. And
how did you, like, if a supporter came up to you and go, mate, it was bloody shit house today, you know, like, I don't know what they used to say to you, right? But how would you take that? How would you take that? Would you get offended by it, or like how would you take it?
No, you wouldn't. I mean, you probably, if you were bad, you would have already copped the spray from the coach. I mean, you're down anyway. So we used to pick the papers up and read them, and you'd have a Sun score bloody in the Monday paper, so you know you went shit house. Everyone knows you went, you know, you haven't had a great game or whatever. So, well, you don't just sulk about it. You pack your bags. You know, you probably have 3 or 4 less beers on the Saturday night, and get up for Sunday train and work on getting better over the week, and repay it next week, and that's all you can do. You know, we all.
I've got one more question, and I don't know if this happened in your time, right? Now we've got some leaders there, and you know, some of the main leaders. You reckon we've got enough players, and did it happen in your time where you have like a lesser player, like just a junior, that would stand up in maybe your meetings and that and go, no, that wasn't good enough? You reckon we've got those sort of players that would stand up and say, no, that wasn't good enough? And even though you maybe like a Hollands or someone, you know, and do we need those sort of people? Because as a team, I think that even a junior should be able to say, mate, that wasn't good enough by you. You know, I'm giving my all. Like I saw you.
Oh yeah, I asked a question of Shane O'Sullivan today. I said, do they get replays of what's happened and go through them forensically? Because Wolsey would have, you know, he would have cut the tape out. He would have sat down all Saturday night, cut the tape out, and basically embarrassed people in front of your peers, and that's you know, I mean. You know, it was intense in a lot of ways, but it was to show you, look, this is unacceptable. This type of situation, you haven't put your body on the line, or whatever the case is. You know, it's a weak tackle or whatever, and I don't really think we have enough strong leaders in our team at the moment. I mean, who's leading our forward line? Certainly not Charlie. Certainly not Harry. I mean. Harry got
Charlie's the one in the leadership group. I'm not sure what he's doing in there, but other than
does he display leadership out there? I mean, the only time you've seen emotion out of Charlie's after he kicks a goal, and he does the big, you know, the flex or whatever, and you know, that's, you know, I mean,
it's all about setting standards, and if he was setting standards, he'd be laying a few more tackles and doing a bit more defensive work too.
He's back trying to wrestle blokes one-on-one consistently, and it just makes it easy for someone to fly over the top, and then he looks frustrated, and then he doesn't chase, and you know, I don't think that's setting a good example down
Yeah,
there. So.
I think you're right, and I think we've got you got Cripper, and I think you've got of course Wiedering in the back line. I think Newman's like a leader. He seems to stand up, and I've seen Newman tell Cripps off in the game, tell him to get out of here, move over, go there. So this is what I'm saying. Have we got enough of those players that say, you know what? This is my team too, mate. Like, come on, mate. I need something from you, you know. And I don't think we've got enough. We got 2 or 3 main leaders, but mate, as a team, to me, everyone has to be a leader, mate, and everyone should have the same voice, mate.
Yeah,
no, they haven't got it.
No, you can't. Not everyone can be a leader. It's impossible.
No.
Why can't Hollands come in there and say, mate, and come into the room and say that wasn't good enough?
They can, but not everyone's the leader. It's like organizations. You can't have everyone's the leader. Too many chefs. You've got to have those, and they lead. And then someone's upset, but we need more of that. So a bit more mongrel, I reckon.
But there are occasions. There are occasions where you can ask for that voice to be heard or whatever, and what do you think, sort of thing, and someone will say, well, that was totally unacceptable, and so that but your leader, look, Cripper is a great leader and leads by example out there. I don't know how hard he is on his peers, his teammates, but he should be supremely hard. Why should he be burdened with all the work? I mean, I'd be dirty on him for not pulling their weight and not, coming along with him. So, I mean, he doesn't only have to inspire. I mean, you have to have a bit of, you can easily sit back and say, well, I'm not as good as Cripper, and I'll just play my little role out here, because I'm not as good as him, and he's a Brownlow medalist and he's a champion, and I'm not that good. But when it comes down to the little things that you need to do, everyone can do them. Everyone can tackle. Everyone can chase. Everyone can do the little things. And I think I've said it, repeatedly over the time. You get all that right. You get the small things right first. You get your grit. Let's just concentrate on tackling and chasing and all those little things. The rest of it ends up taking care of itself, because you can all play football. You wouldn't be there if you couldn't play football.
Exactly.
So just get the little things right. And this week, and this is probably why I'm more disappointed than ever, is because this was a crunch game for both teams. This is when you wanted to see that. You wanted to see the passion. You want to see that, the players just having a real crack, and just very disappointing, and terrible result.
Yeah. Can I just say,
boys, just before we move on,
viewers, which is really good at one time.
Viewers, push the like button.
Fantastic.
I hope this is therapy for everyone.
We've got a viewer from my co-host from Dubai, Sam Eads. So
listen to the supporters. Yeah, sometimes you do have to listen to the supporters. You know what I mean?
Just before we do our votes, Rash, because I think we need to get on to our votes.
Yeah, that's
just wanted to quickly point out one of my favourite YouTube shows, and I know a lot of our viewers will watch his particular videos every week. I'm speaking of Heath Bucky on My Blue Heaven. I watched his preview a couple of days ago. I'm not sure if you're aware of Bucky Reach. You probably played with him. I think he was a Carlton reserve.
I coached him in the Hammerhead.
Is that right? There you go.
You won a premiership with him.
Yeah,
you won a premiership with him.
I'm not sure if he watches our show, but I just wanted to mention, because he's a very passionate Carlton supporter, and he does a fantastic preview show before the game and then a review show after it. And I watched his preview show this week, and I was taken aback a little bit by his confidence, because I was certainly not confident going into today, because I knew how Hawthorn had the potential to rip through us with their pace. But he was absolutely adamant. He said, look, absolutely no question in my mind. This is not just I think we'll win, or I hope we'll win, or I think we could win. I'm telling you now, we win this game. And I thought, wow. And he said to me, well, if I'm wrong, I'll have to get the eggs out, because he bought this container of eggs, saying that he's happy to have egg on his face. So for all of those viewers out there that enjoy watching his show, and those of you who may not be aware of it, tune into My Blue Heaven. Let's give him a bit of a plug. I reckon he'll be smashing some eggs on his own face this coming probably tomorrow, I'd say.
I was fairly confident too, but just quietly, I walked in today and I said, mate, I'm telling you, I thought, mate, we're going to put on a show tonight, man, and today, man. I was pumped, man. The sun was out. Everything was perfect until they bounced the ball.
Yeah.
2 goals in 4 minutes. 2 goals just to rub it in. But I was exactly the same. I said, you look at those two teams on paper. I've never heard of half of those blokes in Hawthorn.
No.
You know, I mean, I haven't watched.
And you
got to
hand it to Sam Mitchell and his assistants, of which, by the way, about 3 of them are former Carlton champions. In Brett Ratton's, I think, director of coaching there, or something like that, or director of football, and Cade Simpson's an assistant coach, and so is Adrian Hickmott. Maybe we should be trying to get them over to Carlton, but anyway, you got to hand it to Sam Mitchell. He's turned that side right around, especially since losing the first 5 games of the season. It's been amazing.
They did have some major injuries in those first 5 rounds. Look, and I mean, and we've seen today, but injuries do take a toll on clubs. And
sure,
they were 0-5, and I think it was
they've since won 12 out of 16. They've since won 12 out of 16, and 2 of those 4 losses were by 1 point to Port Adelaide, where they should have won, and 2 points last week where they should have won as well against GWS. So, if those had been wins, they'd be on top of the ladder. If you look at the ladder since round 5, unbelievable.
Oh, look, it is. It's a very close season this year, and anyone. I actually said during the week that we have an opportunity to get 3 good wins and get some confidence going into the finals, and the grand finals up.
It's up for grabs.
The Swans, they were a shoe-in 3 or 4 weeks ago. They're struggling. They are struggling big time, and they're being worked out. So it's going to be a.
Do you know up until Sydney beat Collingwood on Friday night, all 8 teams in the ladder could still potentially have dropped out of the 8, and we're at round 22.
No,
but not anymore. I think Sydney.
No, not anymore. But I'm saying before that game was played, technically, if all of the 8 teams in the 8 had have lost the last 3 matches, and some of them by considerable margins, they could have mathematically fallen out of the 8. But obviously, some results.
You're obviously going to be playing each other too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
boys. Just
anyway, Rash.
Let's get to the votes. But there's one comment here. I'm not sure if there's any truth. Maybe Reese will know in Stallers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yeah. There was anyone who got the Sun today. There was a big 2-page article done by Mark Robinson.
Oh, really?
With Sellers and So he's got the early stages of dementia, and it's been we've known about it for about 12 months or so now, and been kept under wraps. But he's come out and let people know, which is fantastic. So who knows how much it was caused by football or whatever else. We'll never know, sort of thing. Those sort of answers, but it's a sad situation for both Sellers and his family, because anyone who knows people who've had dementia, it affects the family just as much. And he's got a great wife, Virginia, who I think they've been married over 40 years, and that. And,
they have.
So it's a sad situation, but we're there to help him. I think the past players groups, we're right behind whatever we can do, and he's getting medication and the best treatment and stuff he can at the moment. So and he's all right. He's turning up to all our functions. Is there on Friday at our Spirit of Carlton function. So
and he was on he was on Carlton radio today with
SEN.
Ange and SEN. Yeah, so he was on there today, and apparently what's his name? Who's the comedian who was also in there? Dave Hughes.
Oh, Dave Hughes, yeah,
and he was freaking out a bit. I think they were all up in arms in there. So Ange, I actually spoke to Ange, and he was pretty ropeable after the game. He just said that was just not good.
It was rubbish.
All right, boys, let's talk about the votes for the games, because I'm looking at the time, and I know we only got the hyphen for a little time. So let's go into the votes. Vince, start with you. Do we start with you or me or Rocco or who? Well,
I normally go first. So 3 votes.
You go ahead.
This week. With Matt Kennedy, I'm going to have to go to my phone now. Matt Kennedy, 3 votes. I gave 2 to, was it Nick Newman, or did I get? No, Nick Newman got 1. And,
Akers, wasn't it?
Blake Akers 2, and Nick Newman 1. And not really going to say too much about it, because I don't think either of those 3 had great games, but I had to put 3, 2, and 1, and that's how it felt.
Yep.
Vince?
Mine was similar, Rash. Mine was similar. I had three votes to who I thought was our best player clearly on the day, Matthew Kennedy. He tried his guts out. He had 33 possessions, 10 marks, 4 tackles. He even got a couple of hit-outs. I mean, Harry Mackay went into the ruck a few times, and he didn't even get 1 hit-out. So, Kennedy got a couple, and I think Cripper might have got 1. But other than that, the ruck was fairly even. But I thought Matthew Kennedy was clearly our best. I gave him 3 votes. I also gave Blake Akers 2. I thought he battled hard on his wing. Again, 28 disposals, 8 marks, kicked a goal there just after half-time. And I thought, here we go. Hopefully we can string a few together. But it was the only goal we kicked in the quarter. And I gave 1 vote to Ollie Hollands, who I thought tried pretty hard on his wing as well. So, bit of a consolation vote, to be honest, because there weren't too many of them that deserved anything. But they were my 3-2-1.
Yeah, Rocco.
By the way, if anyone's wondering about the Carlton goal kickers today, there was only 5 single goal kickers. Charlie Curnow got 1. Harry Mackay got 1. Elijah Hollands got 1, and then Matt Owies got 1. They were all the forwards, and Blake Akers got the 1. That was it.
Okay.
Tell you the truth, I haven't even thought about the votes, but just on the eye test again, Kennedy, Akers played all right, and and Newman, I thought stood out a bit there. He got a lot of the ball, but
I didn't like how he used it much.
He was the sub, and he got 3 votes.
Mm.
Yeah. Yep.
So, right. They're probably about right. Yeah, Ollie, he played okay too. He worked a bit out there. Did a few good spalls and that. But Cripper, tried his heart out, but I could only do. But the rest really.
Well, the thing about Cripps and Walsh, I'm sorry to interrupt here, but they both got 25 and 24 respectively, but. 7 kicks and 18 hand passes to Cripps and 9 kicks and 15 hand passes to Walsh. Their meters gained would be very, very minimal, I reckon, today.
Yeah.
Very ineffective, both of them. Not it wasn't warranting a vote from either of them, I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah. Boys, my votes, it was very hard. By the way, I don't know if you know, but Jordan Boyd for the whole game, and I know he's partly injured, he had 0 disposals. 0.
But apparently he played with, is it a abductor? What is it? Like he played with that for 3 quarters. So they kept him out there because they needed him. So he was playing hurt, but he got 0 possessions. I got more possessions than him, and that's bad.
Donuts. So anyway, my votes were, I gave 3 to Newman, Kennedy 2, and 1 to Akers.
Yeah.
All right. Now,
don't know what Joe's votes are yet, but it'll be something similar to that, I would have thought.
Yeah. Reese, can you give us the Spirit of Carlton award? This is the usual one.
Yeah, Spirit of Carlton award. I nearly wasn't going to give it, but I because I didn't think anyone showed any real spirit out there besides probably Matthew Kennedy. But This week goes to Ollie Hollins. I thought there are a couple of rundowns and he chased pretty hard today and just showed he was willing to chase anyway and tackle and do that. And he's probably the skinniest kid out there. So, he gets it today. And I think he showed a few of his bigger and more experienced teammates a bit about, the little things you need to do and chasing and tackling and that side of it.
We call him the blue healer. We call him the blue healer, man. He just doesn't stop running, man. He doesn't.
The blue healer.
Really he does, man. He just gives it his all. That's one thing you can't say about him. He gives it his all. Yeah.
By the way, boys, I think we give a bit of a shout out to those guys that dressed up as the Blues Brothers that came down from all parts of Australia today to support the club, and there's a pretty good effort coming all the way from all parts of the country, really, from Western Australia, Queensland, the whole lot came down and dressed up in their Blues Brothers outfits. It's a great effort, so a big shout out to them for the effort that they put in, I reckon.
All right, so before we let Reese go, I think you've got an event, Reese. Correct me if I'm wrong, because someone's put here in the comments that Friday night here in Perth with Diesel. So do you want to just mention that before we let you go?
Rocco Moro,
of course. Anyone who wants to, anyone who wants to tune up there, I'm over in Perth on Friday night with Diesel and Sticks. I think Sticks will be sitting in the middle and Diesel will be either side. And
he's got to separate you, does he?
I've always said what happens on the field stays on the field, but I'm still hoping Diesel might pull the boots on for the over 50s or something.
Give him a payback.
I might line up on the other team and square it up. But we'll have a bit of fun on Friday night, and I'm over there for the game too. So anyone else going over?
No.
I don't think
hey, by the way, Reese, is that before you all head over to Gloucester Park for the trots that night, or was it after that or before that?
No, it'll be well before it. But no, that'll be our night. I'm off the drink at the moment, Vince. I'm behaving myself. So
good man. Whereabouts is this being held? This function in
I think it's a Camden
Perth?
Hotel. I'm not too sure where it is. A Camden Hotel. I think it might be somewhere near the casino around that area.
Right. Yeah. And I'll give also a shout out to our friends at the WA Blues. That's the West Australian supporters group over there in Perth. They do a fantastic job every Saturday morning. For those of you who may not be aware, Reese is actually their regular weekly guest with his segment on their radio show. And it's called The Shirt Front, isn't it, Reese? On 91.3 Sport FM. And Rocco and I have actually been guests of that show. And we turned up in person there a couple of years ago at their invitation. So they do a great job, and they're holding a function before the West Coast Carlton game at the Cam Field, which is directly opposite the ground. It's only about, a couple of minutes walk from Optus Stadium. So it's a fantastic function. Go out there and support them, all you West Australians, and also any of our viewers who are going across for the game. Go across. I think it starts at about 11 o'clock in the morning there on Sunday, and I think the game starts at 2:40 p.m. Perth time, and obviously that means 4:40 p.m. over here on the Eastern Seaboard. But it'll be good to go over there, Reese. I know you love your time whenever we go to Perth.
No, it's a good place, Perth. I love getting over there, and really looking forward to it. So Friday night. Yeah. Friday night we've got a show, and then obviously on Sunday the footy, and I'll have on the red eye back. So
So before we go, I thought I reckon a tip for next week. What's going on? Come on,
let's preview next week.
Yeah, give us the tip next week, and then we'll let you go. We've had you for too long.
I know what I should be doing, Vince.
Yeah,
I know what I should be doing to try and catch those blokes. But
by the way, Reese, Joe and I both tipped Hawthorn. Joe and I both tipped Hawthorn for that game. You tipped Carlton, so now Joe and I have gone ahead by 2.
I can't catch you, can I? All right. Well, I'll tip the Blues then. You'll probably tip West Coast, so I'll tip the Blues. Look, I'll continue to show faith, but it's dwindling at the moment. No, look, I think this is going to be a bloody tough game. They'll have a little bit of confidence, especially being over there. And
they won their last couple.
Yeah, and the embarrassing season might continue, but hopefully it won't. And hopefully I can get in the rooms before the game, and I might be able to give a couple of bit of a clip over the ear before they run out and
Yeah.
smarten them up.
I'm going to go Blues. I won't bet against them, I still think. But we're going to have a few injuries. I don't know who's going to come in. But one man in, one man out. We've been saying that for years now. And let's do it. So, yeah, the Blues. The Blues have to win. And they have to win comfortably because we need to win comfortably because we need some percentage and we need to win our next 2 games. So if we lose next week,
it's season over.
Well, not only that, I think then some real questions are going to be asked. You know, so if you lose the next week to West Coast, I don't think
you don't even want to contemplate that, do you? Yeah, look, I'm going for Carlton too. I think it's an absolute must win, and it would be crisis talks. I reckon if we happen to lose that game to West Coast, that's how serious the situation would be if we lost to a team like them who have been on their knees.
I wouldn't be surprised if they start. I wouldn't be surprised if they start favourites. There you go.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah,
surely
I would not be
surely
surprised.
not.
No,
they won't start favourites.
If Charlie doesn't play, Sard doesn't play. Who else is there? Fogarty.
Sard? Did Sard get injured too today, did he?
Yeah, he got injured in the last quarter.
Another hamstring.
Jeez. Oh, my goodness.
So
anyway, I'm going for Carlton, not by much, but I'll go for Carlton by, 29 points. There you go.
You know, there could be as much as 5 changes next week just through the injuries.
Easy. Could be more.
But if you take notice of what Reece said before, they need to start dropping players who are just not performing. So they just seem to be reluctant to do that.
We needed to do that earlier in the year.
Yeah. There's no point doing it now
because I mean we're just got to hang on to whoever we've got. It's
and the 5 players coming in, they're most likely going to be like juniors.
Lewis Young.
Oh,
okay. I'm telling you, it's got to be someone like Lewis Young.
Yeah, probably. Mm-hmm.
I mean, if Charlie's out, you need a couple of tall players to come in.
Although
maybe even Harry Lemmy.
I'd put Lewis Young in the back line, though. I wouldn't play him down forward, and I'd put Kemp down forward. I don't like Kemp in the back line, so
try Kemp as a centre half forward or forward pocket or something.
I think he come across as a forward, didn't he? He was recruited as a forward.
He did.
So,
yeah.
Just show some fight, guys. Just show some fight.
Well, that's all we want to see. All we want to see.
What about you, Rash? What about
I
you?
think the Blues will just win. I think they'll start getting together. If they don't, I reckon the questions are being asked now, not next week. So, but I think I'll put the faith in them. But David, thanks for coming on. I know because if you keep on going with these guys, with the Italian guys here, they'll keep you going for another 25 minutes, mate. So we really appreciate your time.
Yeah, you can let rip now.
Hey, Monday night next week, Reece. So we'll give you a chance to get back to Melbourne. Would you be back in time for the show on Monday?
Yeah, I'll be back on Monday. I'm catching the red eye back on Sunday night, so back. Yeah, so I'll be right for the show. I'm going to miss. I'm going to miss the live
at half time, Reece.
What's that?
You might catch a plane at half time if things don't go well.
What were you saying? I'm going to miss what?
Depending on what's said during the week and what injuries and everything, I mightn't even bother going. But the other thing, I'm going to miss your live show too on the 31st. I'm up in Sydney for that weekend. So, yes, I've got another one. I'm actually catching up with the grandkids that weekend. You know what? I was looking forward to it between, the last game and the bye sort of thing. And my wife's going up there for a trip anyway, so I was going to tag along and catch up with my grandkids. I've got 3 grandkids up there, and I thought, it'll be a great break before the finals. Well, Jesus Christ.
I know a lot of Carlton supporters that were getting on their phones today looking up flight centre for
I was just going to say, I could probably start there for a week. Start there for a couple of weeks,
That's all right.
Anyway, thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks,
Tracy. Thanks, mate. Alrighty.
Guys, you guys Italian, Lebanese, like seriously.
But you know what it is, Rash?
You had him on for like an hour and a half.
It's all right. That's okay.
It's not that. It's just like I think today's been like just
good therapy.
Just everyone just needed to get some stuff out, man. Like It was.
I've got to say, I
sure.
thought you asked some very intelligent questions tonight, and I think most of our viewers would be thinking along the same lines of some of these things that we've asked Reece. And Reece is such a fantastic source of insight, not just information, but insight into what's really going on behind the four walls of a football club, and where the issues lie, and who's responsible, and who should be held accountable for things. It's just been such a privilege and a pleasure to have him on as our regular special comments man, as Paul would, as Joe would call him, our expert commentator, as I like to call him. But it's terrific to have him.
One thing that he said tonight that really got me, so I'll talk about it on Tuesday, but that bit about going on 360.
Yes.
Something about that, man, I didn't like already, and he didn't like it either. So
that's the Carlton propaganda machine in full swing, Rocco. I keep trying to tell everyone
the truth. I know you say it's a propaganda machine, and I think all clubs do it.
The PR machine.
Huh? The PR machine. They all do it, and they all have to, because you know what was pissing me off today? They kept showing the picture of Charlie Kerno with top on there, and I kept saying, like, why are we take that off, mate?
That's right.
So
sitting on the chair, Jacob Wiedering sitting on the chair inside that restaurant. Johnny Vincent Sam's or whatever it's called.
I hope everyone's happy with their fucking bobbleheads, mate. They can all fucking bobble them all day, mate, with your bobbleheads, mate.
Who was the bobblehead that they were giving away today?
It was a double. It was Saad and Ange Christou. It's 2 in 1. They're both standing next to each other.
The two whoopers. That's only been created thanks to you.
Wow, apparently not. Apparently they come, but I've always said, and it was Mars who first came up with it, but then we decided. But anyway,
hang on. Let's give credit where credit's due. Weeks before that came out, you were sprouting, we've got to get back to doing things that brings the fans together. We've got to start something again that
and you have a record
gives the fans a chance to galvanise that in adversity, especially when we didn't have much going for us at the time.
Yeah. Anyway, listen, I'm gonna. You've got a few other things to just tidy up. I got dinner waiting. I couldn't eat today. They were making me sick. I did not eat today.
Yes.
I'm going to go get some soup just to soothe myself.
I'll tell you one thing you can do for us before you go.
Yeah.
Tell us Tuesday night, the jumper punch.
All right, so this is what we're going to do. Right. So we've got all our shows and that. So Tuesday night's going to be a big night. I think it's going to be a bit like tonight. We're just going to we message each other, and it's going to be. I think we're just going to sit down and talk about it. Don't worry about stats and that. Like, this is just something we've got to talk about. So it's always going to be a big night. I'm sure we're going to get plenty of other supporters like we did last week. It was a huge show last week. Over 200 live views and that. And tonight, everyone in the chat has been fantastic.
Yes, thanks to everyone. Thanks to everybody that's contributed tonight.
But before we go, yes, the team. Look, everyone. There's still 96 people. Can everyone, all you 96 people, buy a ticket tonight? Because at the end of the day, I'm telling you, win or lose, finals or not finals. Hopefully, I still believe we'll make finals. It'll be a great segue into the finals. Yeah. If not, it'll be a great way to just big therapy session. And we're going to have special guests there. We got giveaways. We got jumpers to give away. We got raffles. There's going to be. We're going to have our Rash there with the record. Everyone on there. I want to see everyone buy a ticket. Come on, let's. So it's going to be a great night. We're pretty passionate about our show. Yes. We're pretty proud about it. We've put a lot of work into it.
Have you secured those players that you were talking about on your show last week?
We're still working on it. Working on it. We're almost there. We're almost there. But these players are so dealing with players. I can't imagine being a bloody coach, man. Dealing with these players.
You're not telling me anything I don't know, Rocco.
Yeah. No, I know you know about it, but I believe the older players were much more accommodating than the newer players, But
absolutely,
look, regardless of who it is, we're gonna get some special people out there, and I'll be doing my stand up. I've been working on it.
Yep.
And I'm ready to attack. There's already a few people I'll be attacking in the crowd. I already know who I'm going to attack, so get ready for this. I might even be cancelled after I do this stand up, and yes, I will be doing my rant, and I really haven't got into the club all year, but I think it's time that I love the club. I love them, and I want them to bloody win, and I'm going to back them. I'm going to back them, and I'll be there and I'll back them. But you know what?
Doesn't mean you're not entitled to ask some serious questions.
Man, it just wasn't. Mate, if anyone sits there, right, and says they were happy, either being the club, the players, or supporters, well, I'm done then. I don't know what to do. If anyone's happy with that, then I don't know, man. I don't know what to do, man.
Like, you're right.
It's been, mate, we love the club, man. We don't want to see that. Like, we were embarrassed. I'm sure they were embarrassed. You know what I mean? You know, like we got to be better than that, guys. We've got to be better than that, you know?
Yep.
So, guys, thank you very much.
All right, Rock, thanks for joining us tonight, mate. It was great to have you on. We haven't had you on too many times this year. In fact, I can't remember whether we've had you on at all this year, to be honest.
Might have been
certainly not for the whole show. I think you might have made a quick guest appearance for about 10 minutes one show, but
you know what? Like,
it was good.
I'm on, like, between Tuesday and Wednesday. Sometimes I'm on for 7 hours, and that's a lot. That's a lot of Rocco.
That's the other show you should tell us about, Wednesday night.
Well, Wednesday's going to be big. You know, I was getting ready to absolutely pound them too, because they're both losers, one after the siren, gave away.
All four of you have been part of losing sides this weekend. Carlton, Collingwood, Essendon, and Richmond.
I think about 7, 8 weeks ago, 9, 10 weeks ago, the ladder was Carlton second, Collingwood third, and Essendon fourth, and now it's 9, 10, 11. Do you believe it? So,
unbelievable.
So it's going to be a big show. I'm sure, like, well, none of us can give it to each other, because we're all just as bad as each other this week, man. But we've all still got a chance to make the 8, just quietly. That's
apart from Richmond, who are obviously bringing up the top, all of the table down on the bottom. Carlton, Essendon, and Collingwood are the 3 teams immediately out of the 8 with 2 games to go. So it'd be interesting to see how many, if any, of those 3 teams actually managed to sneak in by the season's end.
I think Quinn is the only one that's kind of happy, because he's a loser completely, right? And now he's watching us lose. He actually sent us a message, and he was kind of a little bit happy, you know, because I think he said join the club or something. And you know what? Just quietly. So, so it should be a big night. And then we've got all the other shows which you go through. But make sure, everyone, Tuesday night, and make sure, let's get those tickets. So they are really selling really good. So you don't want, because there is limited number. So just get on there. Yeah. So, and apart from that, thanks, Big Win Jens. Thanks, Rash. You're a star.
Pleasure. No worries. Hey, by the way, for anyone who's thinking about how to book, go to trybooking.com and look up the Jumper Punch live show, right?
Or the link is below. If you look at if you're watching the show, if you just go just below now, and on any
YouTube,
show, you'll see the link. Just click onto the link, and just it's as easy as that. Just the link is below, but if not, trybooking.com, and let's do it, boys. Let's do it one way or another. Let's get together, and it's either we're going to be smiling or we're going to be crying, but let's do it together, whichever way it is. Yeah.
Yes. Well, let's hope that Carlton still takes part in the finals by the end of round 24.
Look, after this, by Wednesday, I'm going to be pumped. I'm going to think we're going to win the premiership. You watch.
I'll tell you what, that Western Bulldogs versus GWS game in Ballarat is going to be pivotal, I would have thought.
It's tough games.
And same with the Fremantle versus Port Adelaide game, which is the last game of the home and away series after Carlton plays St Kilda. So even Fremantle's looking shaky now. They've lost their last 2.
Yeah, they could miss out too. The good thing is that everyone in the top kind of 6, they're all playing each other. So someone's got to lose, you know. But anyway, listen, at least I got a football today. One of my blue footballs, and I didn't get a bobblehead, but I got a football. So go the mighty
looks like the size of your big thumb.
Yeah,
all right, mate. Well done. We'll see you on Tuesday night on the Jumper Punch, 7 o'clock.
See you guys.
All right. Thanks,
All
Jumper.
See you.
All right, Vince, are we about to wrap up? What have we got? What have we got next?
Well, very briefly, Rash, we quickly go through the results of the other games that were played this weekend, and then I'll go quickly into Big Vincenzo's verdict, which I've got a few little issues to talk about tonight. But just briefly, let's go through the results of the games that were played this weekend. So first of all, on Friday night, we had the Sydney Swans. My goodness, did you watch this game? 27 points down halfway through the last quarter, and then kicked the last 5 goals of the game to get up over Collingwood. 13-11-89 to Collingwood, 12-14-86. And that would have been a big dent in Collingwood's hopes to make the final 8. And on Saturday, we had a number of really weird...
Isaac Heaney's last quarter was kudo-like.
Yes. Isaac Heaney was brilliant in the last quarter. In fact, he was really good all game, but especially in that last quarter was amazing.
Saturday?
So then, Saturday, we had a few very strange results, didn't we? We had the Brisbane Lions at the Gabba getting beaten by GWS. We had Brisbane, bad kicking, mind you, 8 goals, 16-64 with 24 scoring shots, getting beaten by GWS, who only had 17 scoring shots, 13 goals, 4. Isn't it amazing what accurate kicking for goal can do for you? But you got to give credit to GWS. They're on fire at the moment and entrenched in the top 4. Yep. Brisbane slipped up there. They're down to 5th at the moment, and with a couple of challenging games to come. Against Collingwood next week and then against Essendon the following week. So no guarantee, but you'd probably back them to turn it around. Then we had North Melbourne, who looked for all money like they were going to beat West Coast with only a few minutes to go. And West Coast pulled something out of the fire and knocked them over in Hobart. North Melbourne 14-13-97, defeated by West Coast Eagles, who we play next week, 15-12-102, and that was their second win on the bounce after beating Gold Coast last week. Then we had another interesting result over in Perth with Geelong going over there and knocking over the Fremantle Dockers. The Fremantle Dockers kicked 9-8-62 and they were beaten by Geelong 10-13-73 in Jeremy Cameron's 250th game. And then we had a cliffhanger at Marvel Stadium last night. By the way, I went to this match with Tanya, and let me tell you, she was not happy, especially with the umpiring in the last quarter. But mind you, she should have been more unhappy with the way Essendon kicked for goal. They kicked 1 goal, 9 in the last quarter, Rash.
I know.
To get done by the Gold Coast Suns, who only kicked 2 goals straight and knocked them over by a point. Essendon 12-14-86, defeated by Gold Coast 13-9-87, and that really, well, if Essendon had won that, they'd be in the 8 right now, very comfortably.
Yeah.
Well, they lost by a point this week after winning by a point against Fremantle last week. How things can turn in 7 days. At the MCG, Melbourne put up a great fight up against Port Adelaide, but the Power just managed to kick a couple of points late. They were 51-51 with only a few minutes to go, and in the end, those couple of points in the end got Port Adelaide over the line. 7-11-53 to Melbourne, 7-9-51 in a pretty ugly game of football.
Paul Francis was special.
Yes, he was a great player in that game. But, you know, again, Port Adelaide just keep winning. They keep finding ways to win, and they're, in fact, I think they're second on the ladder as we speak. Unbelievable. Who would have thought that? Now, today, apart from our disastrous performance against Hawthorn, we had 2 other matches where St Kilda were back on the winning list after a very poor performance last week, 15-9-99, defeating the bottom side on the ladder, Richmond, 7-9-51, an 8-goal victory that was exactly what St Kilda supporters would have been looking for, and they've now almost caught up. They're one win away from Melbourne, who are, well, I'll go through the ladder very shortly, but they're starting to catch up, as are Adelaide, who won the last game of the round. And, the Western Bulldogs haven't enjoyed going to the Adelaide Oval, have they? They got smashed by Port Adelaide there many weeks ago. Now they've been smashed by Adelaide. Adelaide Crows, who really performed very well today, 17-9-111. To the Western Bulldogs, poor kicking for goal, 9 goals, 18-72, 39-point win to Adelaide. So the bubbles burst with Brisbane and the Western Bulldogs, who had a number of weeks in a row where they had consecutive wins, but both of those two clubs, Brisbane and the Western Bulldogs, have come a gutser, as they say, this weekend, and have, I guess, allowed clubs like ours to still have a sniff in making the 8. So with Brisbane, Fremantle and Western Bulldogs all losing, Carlton, Essendon and Collingwood all losing, the only team to have really elevated itself is Hawthorn after their win today against us. On percentage now, they're inside the 8. So we'll quickly go through the ladder. You got Sydney on 60, Port Adelaide on 56, along with GWS and Geelong. They're all on 56 each. They're in second, third and fourth on the ladder. Then fifth is Brisbane on 54, 1 win ahead of Fremantle on 50. Then inside the 8 are Western Bulldogs and Hawthorn, both on 48. And Carlton has slipped out of the 8, also on 48, with a percentage of 107.4. Half a game behind us is Essendon on 46 and a fairly poor percentage of 96. Collingwood, another half a game behind them on 44. Then you've got 2 teams who can mathematically make it but practically won't be able to. That's Gold Coast and Melbourne in 2nd and 13th positions on 40 points. They're on 10 wins and 11 losses. And then sides that just mathematically can't make it. So you've got St Kilda on 36, Adelaide 34, and then quite a gap to West Coast on 20, who have won their last 2 games. North Melbourne on 12. They won 3 for the season, and bringing up the rear on only 2 wins and 8 points is Richmond. So there's your ladder.
All right.
So
give me your
quickly.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, you go.
You was about to say, give me your what?
I thought you were going to go to verdict, but not.
Yes,
maybe not.
That's what I'm going to give you.
Okay, so give me your verdict.
All right. We apologise for not having any visuals up there tonight, everyone, or any introductory little snippets. But yes, look, there's a few issues I want to give you my verdict on this week. I'll be very quick with them, okay? I'll just quickly make my point and we'll move on because we've already kept everyone well over the normal time that we go. First of all, I wanted to mention about the AFL scheduling the final round of the season in terms of which games are being played on which days and at what time, with only 2 weeks to go. That is just ridiculous. 2 weeks. 2 weeks' notice. People normally want to travel. I mean, I'm not just talking about people in Victoria. There are people in Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth that may want to go to their games. They can't book their flights. They can't book their accommodation. And normally when you book flights and things like that now, with only 2 weeks to go, you're paying through the nose for them. I mean, there's obviously no consideration given to that at all. And the actual round that they come up with Melbourne and Collingwood playing on a Friday night, I mean, really, I would have thought that the Brisbane versus Essendon game should have been given the Friday night status. But anyway, that's the AFL for you. Not happy with that. I think that there should be at least a month's notice given for people to travel. Craig McRae, the Collingwood coach, blaming an umpiring decision that wasn't given for a Sydney Swans player going over the mark. And he said that, if that was at the MCG, it would have been paid. So what he's basically accusing the umpires of is giving in to the home crowd. Well, geez, isn't it funny how things can turn, hey? Collingwood were the recipients, I guess the beneficiaries of a non-decision of that exact same nature when they played North Melbourne at Marvel Stadium a few weeks ago.
That's right.
2 Collingwood players overstepped the mark, well and truly overstepped the mark against North Melbourne, and a 50-metre penalty wasn't paid. and they ended up getting over the line by a point. Well, the karma bus has come and hit Collingwood in the face, hasn't it? And Craig McRae doesn't like it. I just think that was pretty poor from an AFL coach to blame that. Anyway, another one is the parking situation at the MCG today. I couldn't believe it. Apart from a very few amount of cars, I think they might let some people that have disability stickers in. But other than that, on a beautiful sunny day where, you know, the sun was out and the grounds were dry, I couldn't see any reason why you wouldn't allow cars into the car park today. But apart from a very few amount of exceptions, there was no parking allowed inside the grounds of the MCG today. Why not? I don't understand it. I had someone meeting me at the game and he said, oh, look, they wouldn't let me into the car park, so I've had to go back into the CBD and park my car in a car park. That cost him a fortune. And then he had to walk all the way from the city into the MCG. And, you know, it's just ridiculous, I would have thought. I don't know why they didn't open the car park today. You got 85,000 people coming and they couldn't open the car park. That was... I don't know. I shake my head at some of these decisions. Anyway, maybe someone can explain it. Maybe someone knows something that I don't know.
Okay.
Couple of other things, Rash, that have got nothing to do with football. I noticed during the week, not that I watched it, because as you know, I've boycotted it. But isn't it interesting how that man with XY chromosomes that was allowed to compete in the women's boxing competition won the gold medal? I hope the International Olympic Committee are happy with themselves for allowing women's sport to be completely hijacked by the noisy, squeaky wheels of the LGBTI community. And they've allowed an intersex athlete to compete against biological women.
But
all I can say is that the world has just become an absolute joke when we allow this sort of thing to happen.
But Vince, I think it's a woman.
No, it's not.
It is. It is a woman.
No, it's an intersex. No. Has XY chromosomes, which makes this person male.
Really?
It's that it's intersex. Yeah, the genitals are not fully formed, but they're sort of internal, if you know what I'm saying. So that so it still has the male genitalia, but not fully formed, and allegedly still brought up as female and all this sort of business. But biologically speaking and scientifically speaking, this person is male. Yeah, with XY chromosomes, significantly higher testosterone levels than any other athlete. Look, the International Boxing Association, or whatever they're called, disqualified this particular athlete, as along with the other one that we've spoken about from Chinese Taipei, from the World Championships last year for failing the eligibility tests. And you know, the International Olympic Committee have just bowed down and kowtowed, as they say, to the LGBT community, and this is where we're at. Now we've got biological men competing in women's sports in the Olympics. I think it's an absolute disgrace. Anyway,
move on.
Shame on them. Shame on these people for allowing it to happen. And the athletes who have refused to compete, I think that they're going to be found out to be totally correct in not even bothering to compete. The other one I wanted to mention on a positive note is one of the most beautiful people you could ever see and know and listen to and speak. An absolute sports person of the highest integrity and the highest quality, who even almost barracks for her fellow competitors when she is playing her sport, and hopes that that they actually do well. And that's why she's held in such high regard in her sport. And she won the gold medal after winning a silver and a bronze in the previous two Olympic Games in Rio and in Tokyo. She finally won the gold. So she's got one of each now, bronze, silver, and now a gold medal in Olympic golf for the women's individual event. And I speak, of course, of New Zealand's Lydia Ko. She is an absolute champion. And not just a brilliant golfer, has won 20 tournaments in her 10-year career. She's still only 27. She was basically a childhood prodigy. And did I say prodigy? Prodigy, I should say.
Yeah, I was
she's won a gold medal overnight, and I couldn't be happier for her. She now is qualifies for the Hall of Fame in the international in international golf. There's only 35 golfers in the Hall of Fame. She's now qualified, and she is the youngest to do so at only age 27. And New Zealand has got themselves an absolute gem of a sports person that they can idolise. And that's the sort of woman who should be inspiring women to get involved in their various sports, and especially women who want to play golf, because I actually really love watching golf, and especially women's golf. It's got some of the highest quality golfers in the world, and they can compete with men at the level that they play. And another one who did very well in the Olympics, another two, were the Australian girls, Hannah Green and Minjee Lee. And they are brilliant golfers as well. So well done to them, but well done to Lydia Ko from New Zealand. Absolute champion. That's all you can say about her. An absolute champion and a beautiful, beautiful person.
Okay. Very good.
All right.
All right.
So, Rash, now, what about your show? Every Thursday night?
Yes.
The Change Room. What have you got planned for this week?
We haven't really planned it. We're trying. Well, you've been helping me to try to get Kenny Hunter on the show, so we're waiting to hear Kenny gets in touch with us. So hopefully, fingers crossed that we get Kenny Hunter in for this Thursday, and we'll call it the fifth quarter, I guess. And that'll be interesting. Other than that, if we don't get him on, well, I tell you, there's a lot of things I can come up with.
Well, after today's performance, I would have thought that you and Sam might dissect what's going on with Carlton at the moment and their players.
No, it's look, we always talk about mindset every week, and I think here it's if I was to take a guess, it's a multitude of things. It's not you can't just say it's mindset. Mindset plays a big part, but it's out of form, it's coaching, there's a whole bunch of different things. But so I've got that coming up, and then I've got the book that's coming out on the 20th of August. So for the record. So get yourself.
And for those of our viewers who I'll just swap caps now because I've got my sports bet cap on. For those people who've been hanging out for my bet of the week, because I haven't had Joe on the last couple of Sundays, I'll do a decent bet of the week next Monday night when we come back from the West Coast Carlton game. All right, so. Don't fret. There'll be a decent couple of bets coming up before the season's out.
All right. So I think we should sign off. Thanks, guys, for everyone for watching. It's been a wonderful show. We've had so many comments. I've been managing it.
Yes, you've done very well, by the way, in that. And thanks to everyone that commented and took part in the show. We love to get your comments and your feedback and your questions and all that sort of thing. So to all of our regulars, we won't mention them all by name right now, but you know who you are. Much appreciated. Your loyalty is tremendous. And with any luck, Rash, after 2 weeks missing, we'll get Joe back next week. But in the meantime, I just want to say thank you so much to you for filling in for him. You've done a great job, and I don't know how you managed it with Rocco and Reece Jones on the show, David Reece Jones on the show as well as me.
Italians talking, and you can't stop.
Don't worry, people are used to it by now with us.
Thanks again. I'm going to do the outro. Till next time, next Sunday and Tuesday. You've been on the Jumper Punch channel. Thank you very much. And on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, go Blues. No, you don't want to say go Blues. All right, cool. Later, guys.
Go Blue. No,